Whew. This year has been crazy, guys. In all honesty, I mean, besides everything that's happening in the world, it has been crazy for Mini Urban Farm. From starting our food forest to hitting 1,000 subscribers on this vlog, on this channel, thank you guys so much, to then actually starting a new garden, to building a home, to everything involved in that. There is so much to recap with you guys, and I want to peel it back and just share with you everything that has been going on. Hey guys, welcome back to Mini Urban Farm, a channel about gardening and homesteading in the suburbs. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. If it's not your first time here, then welcome back. This channel is all about gardening and homesteading and raising animals organically, sustainably, just our journey to build a sustainable lifestyle with everything that has been going on in the world for the past few years now. It's just, in my opinion, it is just a smart idea to be able to grow your own food and raise animals and just make sure that you can provide for your family and for yourself in the event that the world returns to a crazy state one day in the future or even gets worse from here on out. So if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down there somewhere, and let's just jump right into it. So in 2021, first off, we got engaged. Alan and I are now engaged. We are planning a March wedding 2022. So that was definitely one of the big life milestones for us at least. And so that kind of dictated the rest of some of these things. The main one being we sold our house, right? We had a house actually in the same neighborhood that we're at now, where my grandmother lives, and we sold that house without having anywhere to go besides moving with family. Of course, they were very nice about letting us move in here, but for the meantime, we don't have our old garden, we don't have anything else besides here. So that is definitely a big change. Now, the main reason that we did that was so that we can actually start our homestead, right? Our dream home. We bought a property at the end of last year, I think it was. So we've had that property for a little bit over a year now. And we have our chickens on there now, but nothing else. We had quail also on that property, and we'll get into that, but there's nothing else there right now besides our chickens. That is where our dream house is going, hopefully in 2023. Now, we have been working with an architect. That, you know, has been a definite whirlwind as well, but we finally have floor plans, and we are about to be under contract with a contractor, with a builder, to actually begin permitting and building and breaking ground on our property. So that is definitely something that wasn't really in our original plans for 2021. It just happened because the housing market was so crazy, so we decided to take advantage of that and we move forward with it. And yeah, now we are going to be building our dream homestead. More to come on that. Alright, so on to our 2021 goals. If you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you'll remember that one of my very first videos was talking about the 2021 homesteading goals for Mini Urban Farm for my family. Now, there were quite a few of them, some which we did meet, some which we didn't meet. The first of which was to grow all of our own vegetables. I have written them all down here in a list. So to grow all of our own vegetables for 2021. Now, I have this as a we did meet it and we didn't meet it, mainly because we ended up selling that garden halfway through the year. It was, I think, like July or August that we ended up moving in here. But when we had that 450 square foot garden, that garden that I started this channel with, I was able to grow all of our own food. Right, that was all of our own vegetables, beans, tomatoes, salad greens, everything that you can actually grow. I was able to grow that, and we didn't buy any vegetables for those first 6 or 7 months or so. And we were actually still able to preserve some of those things, and we're still eating some of those things now. That was a main goal of mine, to be able to actually provide food and not have to depend on the grocery store. That was huge for us, and so we managed to do that. The only reason that I say we didn't meet that goal at the same time is because then we moved into this garden and we have about 60 square feet of gardening space now, which is quite a bit actually for an urban kind of setting, and we are able to grow all of our own salad greens, all of our own herbs, but we are still waiting for a lot of things to come in. We have been harvesting green beans. We don't have tomatoes yet, but we have other things that we're eating from this garden. So we have been buying vegetables from the grocery store since we moved in here, but hopefully that will change now this coming season. Alright, and so the second one was to produce all of our own eggs. So we got chickens in the fall of 2020, right after the pandemic was kind of like in full swing. And so we decided to get chickens on a whim. I don't recommend you do it on a whim, but we ended up with chickens either way. And so one of our goals was to not have to buy eggs at the grocery store, and we definitely met that and then some. I mean, we've had eggs to bake cakes, we've had eggs to do like flan and natilla and a whole bunch of these different things that we like to eat, and a lot of desserts, and then even preserve, right, things with eggs in them and give away eggs to family and friends. And basically we've been swimming in eggs. So we were able to do that because we have a lot of egg laying chickens. We had meat chickens and egg chickens, but our egg chickens specifically for eggs were, I think it was at one point in time we had like 25 of them. Currently we have 13. Just trying to get our flock under control here. But we currently have about 13 chickens, and they produce a steady flow of chickens. We have Plymouth Barred Rock right now for eggs and one Americana. But yeah, we were able to produce all of our own eggs, and that was a major accomplishment for us. Alright, so this next one is to raise our own meat for the very first time. And we ended up doing that. So I will go ahead and give this one a check mark as well, because we ended up raising meat chickens and butchering out meat chickens. Now we ended up not butchering out all of them, and we ended up keeping them for our flock, a whole bunch of them. But we ended up the first time around butchering out, I think it was like 4 chickens, and we just ended up doing 2 chickens again. The main point of this, when I set that goal at the beginning of the year, was to learn how to raise our own meat from baby chicken to table chicken, essentially. And we ended up managing to do that. We actually ended up butchering out 2 of the ones we hatched. So we took our chickens' eggs that we knew were fertile, we put them in the incubator, which is another goal of mine, to actually be able to incubate chicks for the first time. It was so rewarding. And we were able to raise those chicks that we hatched out for meat. So we ended up doing 2 of those. They definitely have a different like body proportional kind of thing going on, just like the Plymouth Barred Rock that we ended up butchering out the first time versus the mixed breed ones. They have like different proportions, and they're just a little bit different in the breeding and like the way that the meat is on their bones. So that was definitely interesting to see. But we will continue on in our meat producing journey, and we can go ahead and check that one off of our list. Alright, so number 4 was adding quail to our homestead. And if you follow this channel, you probably know what happened to our quail. So essentially something ate our quail, and it was not us. We ended up getting quail. We got quail eggs, and I incubated quail eggs. I think there were 60 of them. We did not get a great hatch rate, and I don't think it was the eggs or the company that sent them. It was me and not being able to regulate the incubator, because it is a little bit different than chicken eggs, the way that they're incubated, like the temperature wise and the humidity and all of that stuff. So we had a little bit of an issue with incubating them, but we ended up with several quail, and we were raising our little baby quail, and they were fully grown, about to start laying eggs, and the habitat was not predator proofed as much as it should have been. So that was definitely a very big learning curve. We thought it was pretty predator proof, and that ended up not being the case at all. So we got there, and something had just demolished all of our quail, and then they were pretty much gone. So that is something that we will be adding onto the homestead again next year, because we definitely want to be able to raise quail. We want different types of meat, and we want different types of eggs, and I want to be able to produce some of our own dog feed. So I'm gonna say that this one was we met it and we didn't meet it. We definitely got more accustomed to quail, right? We never had quail before, so we know how to butcher quail because we actually did it in the previous year, but we managed to do quail and then lose the quail. So win and lose, but we'll try again next year. Which brings me to number 5, which was to produce our own dog food for Milo, right? So if you have watched my videos, you know that we have a pretty large dog. He eats a ton of food. He is a purebred Ridgeback dog, and he is our guard dog. So we want to be able to feed him more sustainably, more organically, right? He's had some issues with like the feed that he's been eating. I've been told by his vet that even though it's like an organic type of dog food, it's not like the best. And then the one that they recommend is of course 4 times the price, and his food is already very expensive. So we have been able to feed him eggs, we've been able to feed him some of the stuff from the garden, and we've just been a little bit more cognizant of what we give him, so that he doesn't have medical issues. And since we started doing that, he's definitely had a little bit less issues. I won't go into exact details because it's not like a fun topic to talk about. It's kind of gross. But nonetheless, we were planning on giving him our quail, right? One of the main reasons why we were raising quail was to be able to provide dog food for some of that. However, because our quail were not eaten by us or by him, something else ate them, we weren't able to sustain that and actually produce dog food for him from the quail. He has been getting eggs, like I mentioned, and when we butcher out chickens, he does get the inside parts of those. So he'll get like the liver and the heart and the gizzard and things like that. So that has been definitely better for him overall, definitely better for us from a cost perspective, and because I don't ever want to see him sick, of course. But definitely in the future, in next year, we will be trying to continue on that path of producing more organic farm-raised dog food for him. Alright, so making our own bread was the next goal that we had set, and I will definitely give this one a big check. We have not had to buy bread, I think, pretty much the whole year. Last Christmas, I got a bread maker for Christmas, and from then on, we never looked back. We have been making bread non-stop. We make French bread, we make pizza dough from it, we make bread with all of our dried herbs and spices from the garden. It has just been so easy. I love baking. I'm not very good at baking. It's much more of a science, and I will definitely give anybody super credit who enjoys and is really good at baking. I'm really good at cooking because it's more of an art and less of an exact science, which means that a bread maker is perfect for me because I can add in the 4 little ingredients, press the 1 or 2 buttons, and there you go, fresh bread. So we have not looked back. Definitely a huge accomplishment, and definitely just a lot more sustainable, right? It doesn't have all the added chemicals. It is much more of a time commitment because you have to wait and do it consistently, right? It takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours on like the fast track setting or whatever, but there's no added preservatives, there's no added like chemicals in it, which means that it does go bad faster. It gets harder faster, and you have to like just do it over and over and over again, but that's fine because we really enjoy making fresh bread. Alright, so number 7, one of my absolute favorites, which was to start a food forest this year, right? So on that same property which we are building our dream home in, or on, we have an area set aside. It is 7,000 square feet for our food forests, right? I recently did a tour of the property. I will leave that in the description somewhere, so if you want to go check that out, it is there. But yeah, we had a goal of buying 12 fruit trees last year, fruit and nut trees. We ended up buying 12 fruit trees, and we ended up, I think, getting gifted some of those trees, so I still counted it, and I think we now have 16 or 17 trees on that property. A lot of them, or some of them, I think like 5 or 6 of them are actually banana trees or banana plants, but the rest are mulberry, guava, peaches, we have figs, we have oranges, mango, soursop, right? That one tree that I had brought up with me from Miami when Alan and I moved in together almost 2 years ago now. We planted that one out and it has been doing so well. And then a whole bunch of banana trees. I think I might be missing some. Oh, and a lemon. We have a lemon tree. And so we're going to continue to build our food forest. So we are starting with our canopy, right? Or our sub canopy at this point, because we actually have a lot of pine trees that are huge and massive pine trees, and we're not going to get rid of them because they don't really block a lot of the sun. So we're starting with our like sub canopy as our trees, and then we're going to be planting out some shrubs and different types of things, all edible or nitrogen fixing or some sort of way that provides to a forest environment. So hopefully by the time that we move in and actually get settled in our new homestead, once it's constructed, we will actually have some fruits and some herbs and some plants and all of those type of things. So I'm working on getting some of my like cuttings and some little projects here and there for the food forest, but that was a huge win for us this year. Alright, so number 8 was to put in more trellis space. Now, that was in my previous garden. It was one of the goals I had because we didn't realize at the time that we were actually going to be moving out of that garden. If we realized that, we probably wouldn't have added in tons more gardening trellis space, but we did, and it ended up benefiting us a ton more because we're able to grow vertically on the majority of our raised garden beds. I will leave the entire video here. We have a video on how we actually like built out those trellises. They're super sturdy and they're really good for the garden, but right now we don't have those anymore because we decided to move, so that was definitely a win as well. And then our irrigation system was the next goal. Now, this one was a very big learning curve, I will not lie. So I thought originally you can just set it up and we're good to go, and that is definitely not what happened. We had a lot of challenges with learning how much to water the garden, right? Because it's very different than manually watering your plants. If you are watering and you're just pouring all the water in, you might think, oh, well, on the drip system, they need 10 minutes or 15 minutes twice a day, 15 minutes a day, whatever the case is. And I learned the very hard way that I was definitely overwatering my plants for a while. And so we set up the drip irrigation system right before we went on vacation, and we came back and the plants did have some overwatering damage because I was just guesstimating, but they were able to come back because plants are pretty resistant overall. And so the drip system at the end of the day was a huge lifesaver. I have a video on how we actually set that up, like all the pieces and like taking you through the entire garden and all of that. I will leave that video in the description below as well if you want to go check that out. Okay, so the last two were ones we actually did not meet. The first of which was worm composting, right? Vermicomposting. So that was something that I had wanted to get into at the end of this year. I ended up doing some research and we just ended up not doing it. You know, one thing led to another, the whole moving, the food forest, all of that other stuff, those big goals that we had kind of took over, and worm composting or vermicomposting didn't really make the cut for this year. However, it will be on our goals for next year because I have asked Santa Claus for a worm composting bin. We are going to still keep the composting bin we have now because, you know, first of all, you can never have too much compost, but we'll probably end up putting this one onto the property and just, I don't know, seeing how it goes. Like, I love this composting bin, so I don't want to get rid of it, but we will end up trying our hand at worm composting next year. So that was a big X, something we did not get to. And then the last one was growing your own mushrooms. So I really want to start growing my own mushrooms hopefully next year. I'm not committing to it yet, but definitely something I want to start doing. We ended up not being able to do it this year just with everything going on. I don't really have an excuse for that, but it was just something that we did not get to. So I haven't even done the research for that one yet. I will end up doing more research and then we'll see how it goes in 2022. All right, so that is everything that I had vowed to work on in 2021 for our homestead. As you can see, we did meet quite a bit of them, quite a few of them actually. We ended up doing really well on the whole like producing your own food kind of environment, so that went really well for us and getting our homestead set up for the future. A few of those other ones, you know, those little ones here and there, we're still working on, but our next video, my next video, will be talking about our goals for 2022. So I hope you stick around for that one. Don't forget to subscribe if this stuff interests you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.